Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make your robot move using some movement blocks. So I already went to the Google Classroom, I'm in the Spike app, I'm going to hit new project, word blocks, and then rename it. So you're going to name it whatever project you're currently working on. The first one you're going to work on is 5 rotations or 5 rods. And hit create. So here, this is where everything is going to be linked to. I'm going to make sure I connect my brick by hitting connect. Make sure my brick is plugged in, and then hit connect. Once this pops up, it should say hub number, whatever number hub you are, and then back to project. Alright, when we are programming to have our robot move, we are going to use the movement blocks, which are located right here. When we click on it, it'll take us to the movement blocks. Before we do any programming whatsoever, I always recommend to go to control and put a 1-second wait block as the first block of code in whatever program you're working on. It's going to let your robot settle before it actually runs whatever program you're working on. So go to movement. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set your movement speed. So I'm going to drag set movement speed on. Right? Typically you want to work at about 50% speed. That is your normal. Right? Sometimes you might want to go slower, but I would not recommend going faster than 50%. Right? After we set our movement speed, we're going to need to set our movement motors. Meaning what two motors we are utilizing to propel it forward. And you need to use the movement motors. That way we have the motors moving in the same direction at the same time. So I drag the set movement motors block in. From there, you click the drop down arrow and you're going to select what two motors you want to control. So right now my two motors that I want to use are C and D. Right? So you can see C and D are the same kind of motor, and in port E I have a different type of motor, which we'll worry about in a little bit. But C and D are going to be our two movement motors. So from there, I then want to drag in my move forward block, and the default block is this one right here. It has a move forward. I could tick the drop down arrow and move it backward. We'll talk about turning later, but right now forward or backward for a set distance. Now it defaults to centimeters as the default. I do not like that. I want you to use rotations. Alright, so rotations is how many times your wheel spins around. So you could set that to whatever distance you want. Now, certain challenges it'll be a set number of rotations for you, and other times you may have to do some calculations in order to figure that out. But you can change that number and you can put in, whatever you need to, or however far you want. After you change your distance to the correct distance for that project, and you're done moving, always put in a hard stop moving. This applies a brake to your motors so they stop moving, and then you're going to, the last but not least, add under control, stop all, and change it to an exit program. That, will run the program, stop, and then exit it out so you're not left into one of the windows in the hub. So we're going to make sure we save it, hit the save button. Already went over this, but this PC, G drive, my drive, find whatever your folder is, whether it's 6th or 8th grade. I'm going to use 8th grade for this. There's robotics programs, my Spike Prime blocks, and I have it as, this for right now is 3 rotations, so 3 rods. I think it's 15 actually, excuse me. So 15 rods. You're going to want to label it whatever project you are. That green check mark appears, we're good to go. Hit this 0, which is program number 0, and hit download. And once this stops spinning, your program's downloaded. You can disconnect your robot and go test out whatever program you're working on. Alright, look forward to seeing you soon.